The silver craft descended slowly through the thin atmosphere, its surface glinting in the soft sunlight of Earth's upper orbit. Inside, Ravik gripped the sides of the cockpit seat. He had traveled across hundreds of light years to reach this point, and now the moment of truth had arrived. His heart, or the equivalent of a heart in his alien body, pounded with a mix of excitement and fear. He had rehearsed this encounter countless times, but nothing could truly prepare him for meeting a real human face-to-face. Ravik's species was known for calmness. They rarely showed fear or emotion in public. But today was different. Today, a human would see him, and he had a secret, one that could change everything for him. The metallic band hidden beneath his robe was a symbol of something he could never show his own people. It was small, delicate, and glowing faintly. To humans, it might look ordinary. To Ravik, it held centuries of history and hope. The craft's landing gears extended, and the soft hum of the engine ceased. Ravik stepped out, his long legs making smooth, gliding movements on the platform of the Earth Research Station Alpha. The station floated above the planet like a silver jewel, its domes reflecting the clouds and oceans below. He adjusted his robe, trying to appear composed. His large blue eyes scanned the scene, noting every detail. The humans walking in small groups, the gentle hum of energy fields, and the enormous Earth rising in the distance like a glowing orb of life. Commander Lena Hayes was the first human to notice him. She stood tall, her posture confident but not intimidating. Her light brown hair moved gently in the artificial breeze created by the station's ventilation system. She smiled warmly. "Welcome," she said in a calm, inviting voice. Ravik froze for a moment. That simple word, spoken with genuine kindness, caused a shiver to travel down his spine. He instinctively stepped back, unsure how much he should reveal with his body language. Lena noticed his reaction, but did not react with judgment. Instead, she took a few steps closer, maintaining an aura of calm authority. "Please follow me," she said. "We have prepared a small reception area inside." Ravik nodded. His mind raced, recalling all the instructions his people had given him. Do not reveal your interest. Do not show weakness. Do not speak more than necessary. Yet with each step toward Lena, he felt the walls he had built around himself begin to crack. Her presence was not threatening. It was comforting, in a way he had never experienced. As he entered the station, Ravik's eyes widened. Humans moved around freely, some carrying tools, others speaking in low tones. Despite their smaller size compared to him, their confidence filled the space. He admired the way they worked together. There was a rhythm to their actions, a harmony that his own kind often lacked. He noticed a young human laughing at a small mistake, and another helping her quickly without any complaint. There was no fear in them, only curiosity and kindness. Lena led him to a glass chamber where a few other human researchers waited. Their faces reflected polite curiosity. None of them were armed. None of them looked at him with suspicion. This surprised Ravik. Among his own species, strangers were met with caution, even hostility. Yet here in this floating station, humans were different. "Ravik," Lena said softly, "please feel comfortable. We are not here to harm you." He shivered again, this time less from fear and more from the strange mix of relief and nervousness. The human's words, the calm tone, and the gentle gaze, all of it seemed to pierce through his careful control. He could not help but wonder how a species so small and fragile could command such presence. The humans began asking polite questions. Where was he from? How did he travel so far? What was his experience in space? Ravik answered carefully, giving minimal details about his journey while focusing on his admiration for Earth's natural beauty and the human's ingenuity. Every word he spoke carried layers of thought, as he tried to maintain composure while hiding the secret beneath his robe. When a young researcher asked about his home planet, Ravik hesitated. He smiled, an awkward attempt at friendliness, and spoke vaguely about distant stars and long journeys. He could not reveal the truth about the metallic band. It was too dangerous. His people had strict rules about sharing knowledge about humans. They feared humans' curiosity and adaptability. Many in his society believed humans could disrupt the balance of their world if allowed to influence it. After the questions ended, Lena invited him to a small observation deck. The room was transparent on all sides, offering a breathtaking view of Earth. Ravik floated to the middle, looking at the planet below. The oceans sparkled like liquid glass, the forests stretched endlessly, and the atmosphere glowed softly with a thin layer of clouds. "It is beautiful," he whispered. Lena smiled. "It is, and we have worked hard to protect it. Our planet is alive, and every species plays a role here." Ravik nodded, his mind swirling. He felt admiration for these humans. Their courage and respect for life were extraordinary. His people valued knowledge and control above all, but humans seemed to achieve both without force. There was a strange harmony in them, a way of being that made him wonder why his council feared their influence so much. As the day passed, Ravik moved through the station, observing the humans quietly. He learned about their experiments, their small acts of kindness, and the joy they found in discovery. Each interaction made his secret heavier. He was here to deliver a message, a token from centuries past. A human artifact had reached his world, inspiring generations of his people to study humans secretly. It was a symbol of hope and curiosity, but he could not yet reveal it. That evening, as the artificial lights dimmed to mimic sunset, Lena approached him again. She placed a hand lightly on his arm. "You are far from home," she said gently. "It must be lonely." Ravik's shiver returned, involuntary. He looked down at his hands, clenching them to hide the tremor. "It is different," he said softly. His voice carried layers of meaning, and Lena sensed it without needing explanation. "Do you want to walk in the garden dome?" she offered. "Sometimes, seeing life up close helps calm the mind." Ravik hesitated, then nodded. The garden dome was small but vibrant. Earth plants grew in rows beneath soft lights, and water trickled from artificial streams. Butterflies, real earth butterflies, flitted among the flowers. He had read about them but never seen them with his own eyes. His blue eyes followed each movement carefully, marveling at the simplicity and complexity combined. They walked side by side, human and alien, through the glowing plants. For the first time, Ravik felt a strange sensation he did not understand. He felt safe. Lena spoke about each plant, about how humans cared for them, about how life was interconnected. Her words, gentle and clear, made him think of his own people, how different their worlds were, yet how similar the desire for connection could be. As they stopped near a small fountain, Ravik finally looked at Lena directly. Her eyes were patient and kind. He felt the weight of his secret pressing against him. The metallic band beneath his robe seemed to hum softly, as if aware that its moment was near. I have something," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "Something I have carried for a very long time." Lena's smile did not waver. "You can trust me," she said. "Whatever it is safe here." Ravik shivered again, not from fear but from relief. The first step had been taken. The moment of truth was approaching, and though he had not yet revealed his secret, the journey toward understanding, and perhaps friendship, had begun. As he gazed at the human who had welcomed him without judgment, Ravik realized that this encounter was more than a mission. It was the beginning of something new, something that might change not only his life, but the connection between humans and his own people. The nervousness in his body, The shiver that accompanied each movement was no longer just fear. It was hope. And so, as the artificial sun dipped below the edge of the dome, Ravik stood in the garden dome with Lena Hayes, shivering as he drew near to a human, knowing that soon his hidden secret might finally come to light. The garden dome glowed softly under the artificial sunlight. Streams of water trickled quietly, and the leaves of earth plants rustled in the gentle airflow of the station. Ravik stood near the fountain, still holding the hidden metallic band under his robe. The cool water mirrored the stars above, and for a moment he allowed himself to breathe without fear. Commander Lena Hayes walked beside him, her steps light on the polished floor. She had sensed the weight in Ravik's presence from the moment he had arrived. Something in the way he observed humans, so quietly, so intently, told her that he carried more than stories of space. There was a mystery hidden beneath his calm exterior, and she wanted to learn it without forcing him. "You seem fascinated by our plants," Lena said softly, breaking the silence. Ravik tilted his head. "They move and grow without conflict. My people study life, but it is usually for control. Humans seem to let life simply exist and thrive. It is remarkable." Lena smiled. "We believe in harmony. Everything has its purpose. Every species, every plant, every drop of water. We try to understand before we interfere." Ravik shivered lightly at her words. The concept of understanding without dominance was foreign to his kind. On his home planet, knowledge was power, and power controlled every aspect of life. Yet here, he felt a pull toward the simplicity and peace humans maintained. He glanced at Lena, realizing that she herself embodied the same principles. She observed without judgment, guided without force. They walked slowly along the paths of the dome. Butterflies flitted over bright flowers, and the soft buzz of small insects filled the air. Humans passed them occasionally, offering polite nods and smiles to Ravik. He returned the gestures awkwardly, unused to such warmth. It made his hands tremble. He shivered again, hiding the metallic band tightly. "May I ask something?" Lena said. "It is okay if you don't answer, but I notice you carry something with you. Something hidden. Do you trust me enough to share it?" Ravik froze. Her words cut through the careful mask he had built over years of secrecy. He was not used to trust, especially with humans. Yet her voice was gentle, patient, and free of expectation. He hesitated, then nodded. "There is something from your people," he said quietly. "A small object. It has traveled far, and it has inspired my people for generations. I was instructed never to reveal it, yet I feel compelled to share it with you." Lena waited, not speaking. Her presence was calm and inviting, giving him the courage to continue. Ravik slowly reached under his robe and pulled out the metallic band. It shimmered faintly in the soft light. The surface bore simple human letters and symbols, weathered with age yet intact. Lena's breath caught softly. That belongs to humans," she whispered. Ravik nodded. "It was part of a message capsule sent into space centuries ago. One of your explorers left it behind, unaware it would reach my world. My ancestors discovered it drifting near our planet and preserved it. It became a symbol of curiosity and hope for my people." Lena's eyes widened. "You mean humans inspired your entire species?" Ravik's blue eyes reflected a mix of pride and nervousness. "Not openly. It was hidden, forbidden to speak of. The Council feared your influence. They thought admiration of humans could disrupt our traditions. Yet I could not hide my fascination. I studied your people secretly, learning, watching, and admiring." Lena took a careful step closer. "And now you are here?" "Yes," Ravik whispered, "to return this, and to thank your species for unknowingly guiding us." They walked together in silence for a moment, the soft sounds of water and rustling leaves filling the dome. Lena thought of the generations of humans who had sent messages into space without expecting a reply. And now, across hundreds of light years, one of those messages had reached a species entirely foreign to them, inspiring hope and admiration. It was an extraordinary thought. Ravik noticed Lena's fascination. Your people. You explore not for control or conquest, but to understand and connect. That is rare among intelligent species. My people. We seek knowledge to dominate, to preserve order. We fear change. Yet your example, it has taught me otherwise. Lena smiled. We believe every discovery should help us understand life, not control it. Knowledge without compassion is dangerous. We have learned that through mistakes. Perhaps that is what your people feared. Ravik nodded slowly, shivering lightly again. This time, the shiver was not from fear, but from the intensity of the moment. He had carried this secret for so long, and finally, he was sharing it. The relief was almost painful. Would you like to see the original message? Lena asked gently. We have replicas here at the station. Ravik's eyes widened. Yes, I would like that. She led him to a small archive chamber. Holographic displays hovered above glass tables, showing images of early human explorers, star maps, and small artifacts. Ravik examined each display with awe. The care humans had taken in preserving their history, even in space, amazed him. This is incredible, he whispered. Your people have a gift for remembering and honoring the past. My ancestors, we often forget our own. We forget what inspires us. Lena nodded. Memory and respect are important. They guide us forward. As they moved through the archive, Ravik felt a strange sensation he could not name. Humans inspired him not only because of what they had created, but because of who they were. Their curiosity, courage, and kindness were qualities his people admired but rarely practiced. And now, standing among them, he realized he was no longer hiding behind fear. They paused in front of a holographic display showing the original message capsule sent into space centuries ago. Images of humans waving, letters written in careful script, and simple objects floated above the table. Ravik reached out tentatively. This is what began it all, he murmured. This inspired generations of my people. And yet, it was meant only as a small gift to the universe. To you, it may seem ordinary. To me, it has been everything. Lena placed a gentle hand on his arm. And now it has found its way back. That is the beauty of connections. Sometimes we cannot see the impact of our actions until much later. Ravik's shiver returned briefly, but this time it was lighter. He felt a sense of peace. Sharing the secret, revealing his admiration, and returning the artifact, it all felt right. For centuries, his fascination with humans had been a quiet rebellion against the restrictions of his people. Now he realized it was not rebellion, it was truth. As the evening passed, Lena invited Ravik to a small dining area where humans gathered for a simple meal. The aromas of fresh food and the warmth of laughter filled the room. Ravik observed quietly, noting the cooperation, humor, and subtle gestures of kindness among the humans. A young researcher approached him cautiously, holding a small tray. Would you like to try something? It's called fruit salad. Ravik studied the colorful dish, his large eyes reflecting curiosity. He had tasted food before, but the combination of flavors and freshness was entirely new. He nodded politely, and the researcher smiled. You will like it, she said. Ravik took a careful bite. Sweetness, freshness, and subtle complexity unfolded in his mouth. He shivered again. Not from fear, but from delight. Something as simple as food could carry joy and connection. Lena watched him with a quiet smile. She understood that these small experiences mattered as much as the grand gestures. Humans shared not only knowledge, but life itself, in every small act of kindness and curiosity. After the meal, they returned to the garden dome. Stars glittered faintly through the transparent roof, and the distant earth glowed softly below. Ravik felt a sense of belonging he had never known. He had feared humans, feared judgment, feared exposure. Yet now he realized humans could offer something far greater: trust, understanding, and inspiration. "Your people, they are remarkable," he said quietly. "I understand now why the message traveled across the stars. It was meant to reach someone who could appreciate it. I am grateful to be here." Lena placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "And we are grateful that you came. Sometimes we do not realize how far our actions can reach, but now we know, and we can learn from each other." Ravik nodded, his shiver finally subsiding. He looked at Lena with gratitude and awe. The journey was far from over. But this first step had changed everything. For the first time in centuries, he felt free to admire humans openly, to share his secret, and to begin building a connection that might last across galaxies. As the artificial sun dipped below the horizon, Ravik and Lena stood together in the garden dome, watching Earth glow below. The metallic band, once a burden, now felt lighter in his hand. The secret was no longer a source of fear. It was a bridge between worlds, between species, and between hearts. And for the first time, Ravik allowed himself to hope. The soft lights of the garden dome reflected in Ravik's large blue eyes as he held the metallic band in his hands. The moment of truth had come. He had already shared part of his admiration for humans, the quiet way they lived, their courage and kindness. But now he needed to tell the full story, the story of the secret his people had kept for centuries, a story that connected his world to Earth in ways few could imagine. Lena stood beside him, calm and patient, as she had been since his arrival. She had sensed the importance of this moment, the weight behind his trembling hands and cautious movements. She did not rush him. She simply gave him space to speak, understanding that trust could not be forced. Ravik took a deep breath. "Long ago, a human exploration craft traveled near my planet. It did not land, but it released a small capsule into space. Inside was a message. Stories, pictures, and objects representing humanity. One of the objects was this band," he said, holding it out slightly. "It belonged to a human explorer who wanted to share a piece of their world with the stars." Lena's eyes widened as she studied the delicate object. The band was simple, yet it carried the weight of centuries. "And your people found it?" she asked softly. "Yes," Ravik said. "My ancestors discovered the capsule drifting near our planet. They were surprised, fascinated, and confused. For generations, we studied humans secretly, trying to understand why your species acted with curiosity, courage, and kindness rather than dominance. My people, we feared that admiration of humans might disrupt our traditions. It was forbidden to speak openly about it." Ravik's voice trembled slightly as he continued. "Yet I could not forget. I studied humans secretly, learning from your achievements, your ideas, and even your mistakes. Your people's willingness to explore without harming, to create without destroying, it inspired me personally. I admired it, and I feared I would be discovered, so I kept it hidden." Lena listened intently, understanding the depth of his words. "So, you came here to return the band and to thank humanity?" she asked. Ravik nodded. "Yes, I wanted to show my respect and gratitude. I also hoped, perhaps we could learn together. Your example taught my people that knowledge without compassion is meaningless. That understanding, patience, and kindness have power too." Lena smiled gently. You've taken a brave step by sharing this. Sometimes the greatest discoveries are not of new planets or stars, but of the connections we make across time and space. Ravik felt a warmth he had never experienced before. The fear that had haunted him since leaving his home planet began to fade. For the first time, he felt that his admiration for humans could exist openly, without judgment or consequence. He continued, "The capsule inspired generations of my people. Children and scholars alike were curious about humans. But because our council forbade acknowledgement, it remained a secret. Many never understood it. Many dismissed it as unimportant. Only a few, like me, felt the true significance. And now, I am here." Lena reached out and gently placed a hand on his arm. "You've brought the story to light. That is significant. It is never too late to share inspiration." Ravik nodded. The metallic band. It was more than an object. It was a symbol of hope, curiosity, and connection. It reminded us that across the vast universe, beings could admire and learn from each other without fear or conflict. That is why I shivered when I first met a human. I feared discovery, judgment, and yet I also felt a strange hope. That hope has led me here. They walked slowly through the garden dome, past rows of glowing plants and trickling streams. Ravik's voice grew steadier as he shared his story. "Your people, humans, have a gift. You explore, not to conquer, but to understand. You create, not to dominate, but to improve life. My people, we often forget these lessons. We cling to control. And yet, I learned that admiration and respect can shape a civilization more than fear ever could." Lena listened, her heart full of wonder. She had always known humans were special. But hearing it from someone from another world, someone who had studied them in secret for centuries, made the truth more vivid. Humans were remarkable, not just for their achievements, but for their values. Their courage, kindness, and curiosity had reached across the stars and inspired an alien species. Ravik paused near the fountain, watching the water ripple in soft arcs. "The council warned me not to reveal my interest. They feared humans might influence us too strongly. They said admiration could weaken our order. But I could not hide it any longer. I had to show the truth. I had to return this band. And I wanted to thank you and all humans for unknowingly shaping our understanding of life, cooperation, and curiosity." Lena placed her hand gently on the metallic band. "It's incredible. A small human message traveled across the universe and inspired hope. That is, extraordinary." Ravik smiled faintly. "It is more than extraordinary. It is proof that connection is possible, that inspiration can travel farther than the fastest ships. That one act, no matter how small, can touch lives in ways we cannot imagine." The two of them stood in silence for a moment, letting the significance of the revelation settle. Ravik felt lighter than he had in centuries. The shiver that had accompanied him since his arrival began to fade. He realized that the secret he had carried for so long was no longer a burden. It had become a bridge between humans and his people, between curiosity and understanding, between fear and hope. Lena spoke softly. "And now, Ravik, your story can inspire even more. Humans and your species can learn together. You have shown us the value of patience, respect, and admiration, and in return we can share what we know, how we explore, and how we care for life." Ravik's eyes glimmered. I hope so. That is why I am here. Not to change my people forcefully, but to show them another way. A way humans live and thrive. Through understanding, not domination." They continued to walk through the garden dome, observing the small creatures that moved quietly among the plants. Earth butterflies fluttered gently, Bees hummed over flowers, and small water insects skimmed the fountains. Ravik studied every movement with fascination, noting the care humans had taken to create this environment. "It is peaceful," Ravik said. "Your species creates not only for survival, but for joy. That is remarkable." Lena smiled. "It is part of what makes us human. We do not live solely for power or control. We live to explore, to understand, to connect, and to create beauty wherever we can." Ravik nodded. He felt a quiet determination rising within him. He would return to his people with hope and knowledge, not fear. He would share the truth of humanity's influence, the way a small message could inspire generations across light years. And perhaps one day, his people would see that curiosity and admiration were not weaknesses, but strengths. As the artificial sun in the dome dimmed to simulate night, Lena suggested they rest. "Tomorrow, I can show you more of the station, our research, our science, and even our ways of learning. It is important for understanding, and perhaps it will help you explain your findings to your people." Ravik agreed. The thought of sharing knowledge, building connections, and returning the inspiration of humans to his own people filled him with a sense of purpose he had never known. The metallic band, once a heavy secret, now felt like a symbol of hope, a key to bridging worlds. Before leaving the garden dome, Ravik looked once more at Lena. "I was afraid. When I first arrived, I feared humans might reject me, or that I would be punished for my admiration. But now I see. Humans are not just explorers of the stars. You are builders of connections. You carry curiosity and kindness as your true strength." Lena nodded. "And you, Ravik, carry the courage to see beyond fear and to share what inspires you. That is a rare quality on any world." Ravik felt a shiver, not of fear, but of emotion. For the first time, he understood that his secret, once hidden, had the power to unite two species. It was not just a message, it was a lesson in trust, admiration, and hope. That night, Ravik rested in a quiet chamber. The metallic band lay safely beside him, glowing faintly in the dim light. His thoughts wandered to Earth, to humans, and to Lena. He thought of the small acts of kindness, the curiosity that had shaped generations, and the courage that allowed him to share his secret. He realized that this journey was not just about returning an artifact, it was about understanding, connecting, and learning. For centuries, his people had lived in isolation, cautious of influence, afraid of change, and yet, through a single human message, they had been inspired. Ravik understood now that admiration, trust, and cooperation could shape a civilization more powerfully than fear ever could. He closed his eyes, letting the soft hum of the station and the distant glow of Earth soothe him. Tomorrow would bring more discoveries, more lessons, and perhaps more opportunities to bridge the gap between humans and his species. The secret had been revealed, and with it came hope. A hope that could travel across galaxies, just as the human message had done centuries ago. And in that quiet chamber, Ravik allowed himself to dream. A future where humans and his people could learn from each other, where curiosity was celebrated, and where the small acts of one species could inspire generations across the universe. The metallic band rested on a small glass pedestal in the Earth Research Station Alpha's central hall. Its faint glow reflected the soft lights of the station, a silent reminder of a journey that had traveled centuries and light years to arrive at this moment. Ravik stood beside it, gazing at the artifact with a mixture of pride and humility. His shivers had long since faded. They were replaced by calm, purpose, and anticipation. Commander Lena Hayes approached him quietly. "It looks perfect," she said softly. "The band belongs here now, but more importantly, It belongs in the story we share together. Ravik nodded. Yes, it is no longer just a secret. It can inspire others just as it inspired me. Humans, your people, have given hope to my kind without knowing it. The station buzzed with quiet activity. Humans moved through the hall, preparing the band for display, documenting its history, and making plans to share its story with visiting scientists and other species in the future. Ravik observed all of it with careful interest. He noted the patience, teamwork, and curiosity in every human action. This was a species that thrived not through fear or control, but through cooperation, understanding, and shared goals. You've seen humans at their best, Lena said gently. Now, you can help them understand your people, too. You have knowledge, perspective, and experience that could create something extraordinary. Ravik felt the truth in her words. His mission had begun as a quiet journey of admiration, carrying a hidden secret across the stars. But now he realized it was far more significant. It was not just about returning an artifact. It was about connection, understanding, and mutual learning. For centuries, his people had lived cautiously, guarding knowledge and fearing outside influence. But through a single message from humans, generations had been inspired, and now Ravik had the chance to continue that legacy openly. Your people, humans, you create bridges, he said softly. Not just for exploration, but for understanding. That is rare. That is powerful. Lena smiled. And you, Ravik, have built a bridge too, one that links your people to ours, one that begins with trust, respect, and the willingness to share knowledge. Ravik looked at the metallic band again. It no longer felt heavy or secretive. It was light, meaningful, and alive with the story of connection. He remembered the long journey it had taken, the generations of his ancestors who had kept it hidden, and the courage it had taken to bring it to this place. The following days passed quickly. Ravik moved through the station with growing confidence. He attended lectures, joined discussions with human scientists, and even participated in experiments. The humans were eager to learn about his people, their history, and their technology. Ravik shared what he could, carefully balancing knowledge with respect for his council's rules, but always emphasizing the lessons of curiosity, cooperation, and kindness. One morning, Lena invited Ravik to the observation deck Omega, the highest point in the station. From there, they could see Earth spread out below like a living map of blue oceans, green forests, and white clouds. Ravik floated near the edge, marveling at the planet in a way he had never experienced. Your people. You protect this planet, not just because it is your home, but because you care for life, Ravik said. Lena nodded. We understand that life is fragile, and each species has value. Protecting it is our responsibility, and our privilege. Ravik shivered slightly, not from fear, but from awe. For so long, his people had believed in control and order above all else. Here, he saw a species that balanced knowledge with empathy, curiosity with care, power with responsibility. May I ask a question? Ravik said. Of course, Lena replied. Why do humans do this? He asked, gesturing to Earth below. Why protect? Why learn? Why cooperate so willingly? Many species I have encountered act out of fear or self-interest. Humans, you act out of hope. Lena smiled thoughtfully. Because we understand that the universe is bigger than us. That knowledge, kindness, and connection matter more than domination or fear. We live not just for ourselves, but for the future, for those we may never meet, and for those who will come after us. Ravik felt a shiver of understanding. This was the lesson he had carried in secret for so long, the reason he had been inspired by humans, even from afar. It was not just their achievements, but their spirit. And now, standing here, he realized that this spirit could truly transform his people if given the chance. Over the following weeks, Ravik and Lena worked together to prepare a small exhibition about the journey of the metallic band. Holographic displays showed images of the human exploration craft, the message capsule, and the generations of Ravik's people who had studied it in secret. The story was one of connection, curiosity, and inspiration, an example of how a single act could reach across light years to influence lives in ways unimaginable. Ravik observed the humans as they prepared the exhibit. Their patience, teamwork, and attention to detail reminded him once again why he admired them so deeply. Every gesture, every decision, every moment of care reflected values he had only just begun to understand. When the exhibition opened, humans and a few visiting scientists from other planets gathered around. Ravik spoke quietly, describing the journey of the band, the inspiration it had given his people, and the lessons it carried. He spoke of admiration, respect, and hope. The crowd listened intently, moved by the story of connection between species. One human scientist, an older woman with silver hair and bright eyes, approached him afterward. "Your story. It shows that even the smallest gestures can create the greatest change," she said. "It reminds us why we explore, why we care, and why we share knowledge. Thank you for sharing it with us." Ravik nodded, feeling a warmth he had never known. "It is humans who have taught me this. I simply returned what was already there." That evening, Ravik and Lena walked again through the garden dome. The soft light of artificial stars reflected in the water and on the leaves of plants. The metallic band, now secure in the exhibition, seemed to glow faintly, as if acknowledging the transformation it had sparked. "You have changed your people without even trying," Lena said. "Your courage, your honesty, and your admiration for humans, it will ripple through your world for generations." Ravik smiled. "I hope so. That is why I came, not to command or instruct, but to show what is possible. Humans, you have taught me that trust and kindness have power greater than fear or control." Lena nodded. "And you have shown us that inspiration travels farther than we ever imagine. One species' curiosity can ignite hope in another, across the vastness of space." Days turned into weeks. Ravik's presence became normal on the station. Humans and aliens alike worked together, sharing knowledge, stories, and discoveries. Small exchanges of ideas grew into collaborations. Ravik realized that the fear he had carried, the secret he had hidden for so long, had transformed into an opportunity for understanding. One morning, as they prepared for a station-wide celebration marking the exhibition, Ravik floated beside Lena on the observation deck Omega. Earth glowed below them, beautiful and alive. "Do you ever fear that humans will misunderstand your people?" Lena asked gently. Ravik shook his head. "No, humans have shown patience, curiosity, and respect. They will listen. They will learn. And perhaps they will inspire others, as they inspired me." Lena smiled. "Then the future is brighter than ever." Ravik looked at her, a feeling of deep gratitude filling him. He had arrived on Earth with fear and secrecy, shivering at the thought of exposure. But through honesty, trust, and shared admiration, he had found friendship, understanding, and hope. His hidden secret had become a bridge between species, worlds, and hearts. The celebration began. Humans and a few visiting species gathered around the exhibit, listening to the story of the metallic band, its journey, and the inspiration it carried. Laughter, awe, and admiration filled the hall. Ravik watched quietly, his heart calm and proud. For the first time in centuries, he felt truly free. free to admire, free to share, free to connect. The metallic band had returned to its people, and in doing so had returned hope to his own. He realized that the journey had never been about hiding a secret. It had been about learning, understanding, and building a future together. As the artificial night sky reflected in the station's domes, Ravik and Lena stood together, looking at Earth. The metallic band, now a symbol of hope and connection, rested safely in the exhibition. The secret that had once caused shivers was now a story of inspiration, bridging worlds in ways unimaginable. And so, a new chapter began, not just for Ravik, not just for humans, but for the future of understanding across the stars. A future where curiosity, courage, and kindness could shape civilizations, where admiration could become a bridge, and where the smallest act, like sending a message across space, could spark hope across light years. Ravik shivered one final time, not from fear, but from the sheer wonder of possibility. He had drawn near to humans, revealed his secret, and found friendship, trust, and inspiration. The universe felt a little smaller, a little brighter, and a little more connected, and Ravik knew that this was only the beginning.